Hi, Sparkles. Welcome back to Intuitive Wisdom. This is episode 253. Today's conversation is one of those moments where the universe had a plan and there was no ignoring it. My guest is Gurds Hundal, a trauma coach and inner work expert with over a decade of experience in trauma healing, boundary work, and inner child integration. She's the host of the Inner Light Project podcast, named one of the best inner peace podcasts in 2020. We talk about her own wellness journey, moving through a cancer scare while doing the deep inner work of addressing ancestral, cultural, and familial trauma. We explore how COVID taught so many of us that we couldn't run away anymore, that healing isn't optional. We talk about sitting in the darkness to learn how to slow down and trust what's within. And I'll ask you the same questions Gurds asked herself. Are you willing to do the work? You have a choice. Stay stuck or get free. What's holding you back? A quick note before we dive in, today's episode touches on some adult themes and includes some adult language, so listener discretion is advised. Here we go. I'm K. Margaret Solorio, certified Angel Reiki Master, intuitive guide, author of Make Ease Your Vibe, and creator of the Home Frequency Reset. This is Intuitive Wisdom, where we explore the connection between energy, intuition, spirituality, and the spaces we live in, so you can create more peace, clarity, and delicious ease in your home, your heart, and your life. Okay. Hi.
Yeah, hi. I was just going to say, if I look tired, I just came back from Canada last night. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
You're on this side of the pond, as they say.
Yeah. So I was there for a week. And so it's like just coming back to life again as I know
Yeah,
it. So,
that's a
yeah,
big
there's been a lot
adjustment.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm ready when you're ready.
Yes, we'll
Like,
start and we'll keep it brief so you can hopefully take a nap if that helps.
oh no, I'm good. I've slept some. I slept on the plane. I slept last
Oh,
night.
you're
I
good.
slept this morning so much. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Kurds, thank you again for joining me today. I am so excited you're back. We had initially met and the power went out in the middle of the interviews. This is round two, which I have no doubt we will capture more of your wisdom. But yeah, that was wild experience. So thank you
Yeah.
again for coming back. And how are you?
You're welcome. Yeah, really good. That was an interesting experience. I've never experienced that before, where everything just shut down, and I was like, wow, is it two powerful energies coming together which
It
caused
felt like
it?
that, and I was really soaking up what you were saying. So I'm excited to get into it today. And it's very timely. Before we push record, we were talking about how there's just a lot happening energetically this year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So you may know on this podcast we like to explore what means to live in alignment with your energy. So how trusting your intuitive wisdom can transform your inner and your outer world. So I ask all my guests, and if you would too, I'm always curious if you could share a time when your intuition nudged you into doing something unexpected.
So yeah, when we were talking on the other pod, and it happened in 2012, like my intuition knew I wasn't meant to be in the job that I was in. I planned on leaving 3 months later, but you know how we sometimes fall into the scarcity of, I'll just do this now and maybe do it later. The
Mm-hmm.
universe had a plan and I couldn't ignore it. And so just before my 25th birthday, I had a cancer scare
Oh,
and that completely shifted my whole life around. I'd gone from being this busy, like get out of my face kind of person, running to work, just not being happy in what
it's
I was
hard to
doing.
imagine you as that kind of
I
person.
know.
Not that I met you.
Everybody's like, what version was that? I don't know that version, but anyone who knows me prior to 2012 knows that version. I would, in front, I'd be like this, very like, everything's good, but internally I was a hot mess.
Oh,
And so I was made redundant, and I remember shaking my boss's hands and looking him in the eyes and said, it's the best decision you've ever made. And he was like, what?
that's
Because my soul
amazing.
was ready. He kind of gave me the calling to go, okay, it's time to go. Bye bye. And I remember that night walking, and a friend of mine, we went out for a drink. Like, what are you going to do next? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. I went back to my apartment that I was sharing with two other women at the time, and they're like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to figure it out. And they were more stressed about how are you going to pay your bills versus me just figuring it out. And I said, I've got it handled. I've got money there. It's fine. Like the universe will provide. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. But I don't even know why I'm saying it at that point because I'm not fully understanding the energy. And then as I'm trying to figure it out, a few months later, I am feeling not good. And then they discover I have, they say it's called a cancer scare at the time. So they wanted to check out my cervix and everything. And I had the tests. And they were saying in a way that was scaring me. Like I generally thought my life was going to end. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And so imagine just being 24, 25, you have your whole life ahead of you, and now you're thinking you might die. So I started drinking excessively. Oh my God, it is what it is. Let me just live. And then I went to get my results. And I remember going into the hospital waiting room, and there was nobody around, by the way. And, as we do, feeling sorry for ourselves, I'm like, what have I done to deserve this? And a voice says, you created this. And I'm looking around, there's nobody. And I'm thinking, great, I've gone crazy now. Oh, well, what else?
Add that to the list.
Yeah. I go into the room, get my results, they misdiagnosed me, and I walked out of the hospital and I heard the words, it's time to heal. That was the game changer of my life. It took me about a year to leave the media world, but then when I decided fully, my whole life changed. Opportunities came my way. Oh my God, I had my own radio show. I was doing like live Reiki on the radio. We did everything and everything. I was learning about holistic tools. I worked with young people. I didn't know why I was working with them, but my soul said I needed to do this. But it was actually healing my inner child. I didn't know that at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so me
There's,
leading that was building my confidence, but also healing my inner child, which will then help women later to heal their inner child. So
yeah.
go
And a
for it. Yeah.
positive cycle continues. I'm curious that there were such strong, for lack of a better term, light bulb moments for you in that
Yeah.
journey. Did that also initiate a trust in yourself, or was that more of a process?
That was more of it was a beginning bit, but it was more of the process because at that time I hadn't done the deepest work. I hadn't done the ancestral, the cultural, the societal, familial trauma. I just thought, oh, I'm healed because I've forgiven so and so and I've let it go and I'm being in my inner child and I'm loving myself. But at that point, I wasn't having boundaries with people. So I'd gone from the opposite of having boundaries, like you can't get near me, to now everyone is full of love. I look back and think, oh my God, how naive were you girls? But my heart had opened so much that I just wanted to give and receive love. But not everybody
Mm.
is there. So when people would say things, I'm like, why are they behaving like that? So again, the journey had to keep evolving. And then when I started to do the deepest work, I would say I'd always been doing the deep work, but this was the deepest, most potent work is when I got sick. I've always had light bulb moments every like few years or so. So in 2015, I actually collapsed in my apartment and an ambulance had to get me. And the paramedic said I had a kidney problem.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. You know how you do when you think, oh, no, no. But it took 2 years to get diagnosed. And when I went through that journey and then I had kidney disease, I spent nearly a decade being sick.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, a lot of people don't know this. And so they only see this version, but they haven't seen the version where I was so tired I couldn't even walk up the staircase without being so exhausted. I couldn't even carry 3 bags without being tired. I had marks on the back of my back where my whole back was on fire. And if you put ice on my back, it would just melt through my eyes. Like there was so much. My legs were swelling, you name it. I went through so much at such a young age. It's
And
unbelievable
for
that I'm
so
still
long.
here. Yeah, yeah. But I prayed, which I'll tell you in a second. But that moment was where I couldn't run away. I couldn't go speak on stages. I couldn't do,
Literally, you couldn't.
yeah, I literally had to be in the darkness to
Oh.
heal. And so that's when the ancestral, the cultural, the familial trauma, that began the process. And as I kept doing it, the more I realized that my coaching had completely changed. What I was teaching versus now is so different. And so I had to sit with it. And as I sat with it, I realized how freeing it was. Why are we running away from it? And I generally believe COVID taught a lot of people they can't run away. And I
Mm.
remember a lot of
Yes.
my clients at that time, they're like, oh my God, I have to heal my trauma now because they couldn't go and have a drink with a friend. They couldn't go partying. They couldn't do, all those things they couldn't do. They were literally in their homes and literally staring at the four walls, having no choice but to heal. And so, yeah,
Was
I
the
don't, I,
healing, sorry,
it's okay.
I'm curious. Was the healing process then for you yourself active, or was it kind of like surrender and then you allowed things to bubble up and address them as they came?
I
Or did,
think, sorry, carry on. I'm just trying to think. You're
oh
saying there.
no, I think I'm just repeating myself. I'm trying to imagine if you thought, okay, there's more to this. Let me see what else there is. Okay, this is something I need to give attention to, or if it was just, it kind of came in front of you because the universe acknowledged you were ready to deal with it.
I almost feel like it was a bit of both
Okay.
because as I got sick, so many friends disappeared. People that I thought had my
Wow.
back. I was isolated. I was with my ex-partner at the time. That, there was so much I literally had to, best way of putting it, my old life died. I can't put it in any other terms, like, but I'm so grateful in many ways because a lot of those people were just there taking from me. And at that time, I
Mm.
couldn't see that because Gurds was the one that listened to people's problems at 3 a.m.
Oh.
Anytime you needed help, I was there. That's been my whole story because
Hi, Sparkles. Before we get back to today's conversation, I want to share a few ways that I can support you. If you've ever wondered whether the energy of your home could be affecting your mood, clarity, intuition, or overall well being, I've created a free interactive quiz. It's just a few minutes. You'll discover your home energy type and receive personalized guidance to help create more peace, alignment, and delicious ease in your home and life. And if you're ready to go deeper, I offer home frequency reset sessions where I help clear energetic clutter and realign the energy of your space so it feels more calm, supportive, and aligned with the life you want to create. You can learn more about the quiz, my home frequency reset services, and book a session by visiting my website, deliciousease.com. And if you're looking for more inspiration, be sure to pick up a copy of my book, Make Ease Your Vibe. It's filled with practical tools, reflections, and insights to help you create more ease, trust yourself more deeply, and live with greater intention. It covers mindset, energy, and time. So you can find Make Ease Your Vibe on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle versions. I believe you deserve to be seen, feel. I didn't say that right, did I? I believe you deserve to be feel seen, supported, and inspired. And you deserve a home that loves you back. Right now, let's get back to today's episode.
I had seen a family member being sick my entire life, and I didn't want other people to suffer like I'd seen. So that had
Mm.
become the narrative of my journey up until that point. Now I had to work on myself. There was no running away. So then all the other traumas came out, and I almost feel like the universe said, okay, you're ready to trust you and sit with yourself. We're going to now work on each different thing, but we're going to work one by one.
Mm.
That's what we did. It wasn't just that, it was like financial trauma, like first generational trauma, it all popped up.
Oh my
Relationship
goodness.
trauma. It was just a cycle of deep, I would say, even though it was 10 years of pain, I would say 7 years was the deepest work of my life, which is now my 4 month program. So what I learned in 7 years, I now teach in 4 months. And
Wow.
so it's a deep process and I've seen everything and anything you can think of. However, it's the greatest gift because now I get to do the work that I love. And also I'm at peace with myself and I have balance now. Prior to being sick, I was all over the place. I was living off 3 hours sleep. I would say yes to everything. At one point, I was working 3 jobs whilst building the business. Like I was not taking care of myself. And so the sickness actually taught me to slow down, surrender, trust from within, listen to what you need versus what other people are telling you how to become successful. So even though it was awful and people think, oh my God, how did you go through that? It was the biggest blessing of my life. And when I was ready, the universe said, we're going to help you, but I had to ask for it. And then that's when I learned how to heal and reverse my health conditions.
At what point could you see it as a blessing? Did that come after you went through
Mm,
it or while you were going through it?
midway.
Midway.
And then sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm having to go through this heavy things. And then after as well. And every day I'm so grateful because that version of who I was before is, like I said, like she doesn't exist anymore. And the version of who I am is a blessing. And I wouldn't have this information, knowledge, wisdom had I not gone through all of that. That is life experiences. Like, okay, we can get degrees and whatever. Like I have, I've got degrees as well, but it's not like it's a piece of paper. But when you have life experiences where people are dealing with trauma on a daily basis, it's a gift because you can understand where they're coming from and what tools they need. And so a lot of the things that I've been through, I'm able to help my clients easily because I have the experience, but the knowledge and how to help them to overcome it.
Yeah, and the deep understanding of how meaningful it is.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's what happens with my clients. I always say we should record them how they are before, because before there's like pain in their eyes, there's this
Hmm.
heaviness, their energy is stagnant. And by the end of it, they are full of joy, full of love, they're free. The past life doesn't exist. Like one of my clients like a while back said she doesn't even recognize the version she was before because she's in so much gratitude every day of the person she is now. And I'm like, wow, for me, that is just the gift. Like I'm so grateful for that I get to do that. That I can't put a value to.
Yeah, I'm gonna misquote it, but there's a quote from Charles Dickens that I used to walk around with when I was a teenager that's something like, "No one is useless in the world who lightens the load of another." I feel like
Mm,
that's kind of you literally lightening the load of others one by one. That's amazing.
thank you.
How do you know if someone is ready to trust themselves or to do this work? Do they just come to you and go, that's enough? I need a guide to walk through the darkness, or they've hit, I feel like there's a lot of conversations about hitting rock bottom, but also conversations about we should be smart enough to be able to turn ourselves around before we hit rock bottom. Like,
Oh, so it's people that have done a bit of work on themselves. They're trying to figure out
okay.
how to heal. They've been to a therapist, but nothing's working. They've tried, I've had some clients that have even been on medication. And by the end of our sessions, they're not on them anymore. And I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't have them, like some people do need them. But my
Hmm.
point is
Serve a
that
purpose.
yeah, everyone needs something like differently, but when we understand our deepest trauma, sometimes we don't need certain things because we've healed from it and those
Hmm.
things no longer work. So when they come to me, they've done, read a few books, been to a therapist, tried sound heat, lots of different things. They've tried lots of things and nothing's working. And then they're like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? And then they come with me and we sit and it's tailored for them. So even though the 4 month program and the VIP day is already been like, you know, programmed in a way that it's supposed to help people, I retailor it for what they need. So I might switch things around or I might adapt to certain things. And yeah, within the second session, they completely shift. Because that's where we do the deepest work. That is actually part of the VIP day combined into the 4 month program. And a lifetime of trauma comes off that week. And they don't even recognize themselves after that. So yeah, a lot of them have done the work. Not the deepest that we do, but
Hmm.
some level of work they've done, or they're into spirituality and they want to know more. But it's not people that are going to question what we're going to do, because if you're going to question it, I can't be of service to help you because you're not going to help yourself. It's usually people that are willing
Hmm.
to do the work, willing to sit with themselves, willing to do like some of the little homeworks that we have.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you have a book, correct?
I do. It's a
Tell us.
book from a long time ago.
Okay.
It's called a Duco, so it's 52 quotes for leading a better life. I actually wrote this in, gosh, I think 2015. So it's based on quotes from my life when I started my inner work in 2012. And so I just thought they were relevant. I wasn't writing quotes to put them on social media. For me, writing actually saved my life. Being a former journalist, like writing is medicine to me.
Hmm.
So I've always written things down because it heals something within me that I can then share later down the line. And so I would just share things on social media. I wasn't thinking anything of it at the time. I didn't even have a business at that time. I was just like, let me share this. And before I knew it, people were saying, that quote really helped me, or that helped me to see things differently. Why don't you put it into a book? So I said, okay. So that's what I did. I put 52 quotes for leading a better life into a little book. And yeah, a lot of people resonated with it. However, I am putting out a book very soon, which I will share at some point. It's just in the works right now. And that's the deeper trauma healing, which will help people to just come back home to themselves.
Well, that's exciting.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us know. Is there anything you would like to add to our conversation?
Mm, I think this is just something from where so I was in Canada, as I was mentioning to you. I just came back last night. And the reason I was there was because my niece actually passed away. She was 12 years old.
Oh my
She,
goodness.
yeah, she had brain cancer, but she was such a beautiful soul and such a beautiful light. Like there were 350 people at her funeral.
Wow.
She impacted people wherever she went. Everybody had a story. And one thing it taught me is that live life to the fullest, love your loved ones, but also go heal that shit. If something's upsetting you or someone's upsetting you, let them know. Stop carrying it on for 30 to 50 years. Because again, I was catching up with somebody I knew from many years ago, a few weeks back, and I had we were talking and the whole story about what somebody had done to them 20 odd years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, like when do people cut the cord?
Mm.
At any time, right? We all have an opportunity to let go. And I've always said this to people in the past. Imagine an auntie, she's upset with an uncle. Now, the uncle's already moved on, living his best life, but the auntie is sitting there in pain. Who's suffering? The auntie, of course.
Mhm.
Like you have a choice to be stuck in your trauma or you can be free. I know which version I would, because I definitely did that. So, what is holding you back from letting go of the pain, the old narrative, the old story of who you are to become the best version of you? Like, you can change that in any moment at any age. And just my niece shows at 12 years old, she was just full of joy and radiating joy. Like, you have a choice to be like that every single day. Do not take every moment for granted because we don't know when the next day is going to come. Let go of that shit. If you have an issue with somebody, go speak out and reach out to them. Okay, they might not react the way you would like, but if it makes you feel better, do it. If you're scared to do that, write it in a letter and burn it. But don't sit in that pain because trauma sets you from living your divine life that the universe gave you. We all have gifts, but when we hold on to that trauma, we can't see that gift. And that's what happened to me. I had all these traumas and layers, but I couldn't see the gift. And when I peeled off the layers, the gift came right through.
And it sounds like the beginning of freedom and peeling those off starts with awareness, or like speaking the truth that is the
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah. And we can all liberate ourselves. That's the key. Liberation is key. And as women, especially, oh my God, we've had patriarchal patterns, right? When we peel off those layers, my gosh, how free are we? We no longer confined to what society has told us. And so just trust that life can get better, but you have to say enough is enough and say, I'm ready to heal. And if that's working with me, that's great. If it's not me, if it's somebody else, go for it. Life is too short to be sitting in the past pain when you could have so much joy on a daily basis.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Where can listeners connect with you and your work?
Sure. So you can find me at www.gurds, Gurds, Hundal, Hundal.com. If you just type in Gurds Hundal, I come up on Google. You can find me on my podcast at the Inner Light Project, which you'll be on soon. And you can just find me on Instagram at I am Gurds and all social media. I'm there. Just say hi.
Wonderful. And of course, I'll include all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate this conversation.
Thank you.
Hi, Sparkles. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little more peace, clarity, and support. I appreciate your help. To learn more about my home frequency reset services, take the free home energy type quiz, and explore my book, Make Ease Your Vibe, be sure to visit my website, deliciousease.com. That's DELICIOUSEASE.com. And remember, Sparkles, peace is possible, your intuition is trustworthy, and creating a life that feels aligned and supported starts right where you are. All the best, and see you soon.